simple model or aspect of our Art of Feminine negotiation program is what I call the 5 W's, or your 5 secret weapons to more effective negotiating. So what are the 5 W's? Yep, as you may have expected, those 5 little words: who, what, where, when, and why. And you may be saying, well, Cindy, how does that make me a better negotiator? Well, if you come to a negotiation or a discussion somewhere where you want to exert some influence or have some persuasive ability to get particular outcomes, you will up-level your ability to do that effectively if you consider, with intention in advance, these 5 W's. So let's just take them in order. Who? In advance of any discussion or negotiation, decide who ought to be at the table. And likewise, who do we not want at the table? And again, this is whether applying in your personal or professional life. You know, if you're having a discussion with one of your kids about a prickly issue, should both parents be there? Should just one parent? Is one parent going to throw things off? Is there another family member who maybe has more influence who ought to be involved or equally not be there? Again, in those business deals, are there people who you know are really on board and you definitely want sitting at the table? And likewise, are there people who you know are going to shoot down this idea and make it difficult for anybody to be open and receptive? Consider the who with intention. And also tied into the who do you want to show up as? People so often forget that. I always make a point of considering any big important discussion or decision that I'm going to go into, I try to make a point of saying, who do I want to show up as in this? You know, what qualities do I want to embody when I enter into this discussion? And that helps you avoid being reactive or showing up in triggered mode. It allows you to stay grounded depending on what 3 qualities that you pick in terms of who you want to show up as. And also consider, who does the other side expect you to show up as? Because that can be a really powerful tool as well. If you're typically tend to be pretty reactive and you know they're expecting that they're going to try and hit your triggers, it'll allow you to show up in a different mindset. Or again, simply if you're having a discussion with a friend or with a child in your personal life, you know, who are you showing up as? Are you showing up in mom mode, for example? Are you showing up in best friend mode? Or maybe is this the time to take that hat off and put on a different hat? Certainly I've seen myself tank discussions with my daughter where, you know, I showed up in mom mode and I was so focused on getting the result I wanted as a parent that things went sideways. And after, I'm like, gosh, I would never have handled that conversation like that, certainly with a coaching client or with anybody else. So who do you want to show up as in that particular discussion or negotiation? And again, this is just a little tease or a flavor. We go much deeper, obviously, in our programs, but if you consider these 5 W's with intention, even this little teaser will help make you a much better negotiator. So what's the what? Obviously, have clarity about what you're negotiating about, and not just what you want. Make sure you know what the outcomes are that you're looking for, both on the matter, but also the relationship outcome that you'd like with respect to this particular negotiation. But also be really intentional about what the parameters of that what are, because it's easy for negotiations to end up going sideways or totally south when you think you're negotiating about this, but all of a sudden the what keeps getting expanded. People are trying to bring in, and you see this in particular in business deals, but also sometimes in your personal life, where you're negotiating about a particular issue and suddenly people are trying to get you to trade horses on issues that are well outside the parameters of that particular negotiation. Consider in advance, how far are you prepared to let yourself go outside of that what? Maybe being flexible involves going a little broader, but make those choices with intention. But also, what are some of the questions that you can ask to advance this negotiation in a more powerful way? What state are you in? Are you in the right state to conduct this negotiation right now? What state is the other party in? These are just a few of the what questions that you can ask yourself with intention in advance of the negotiation to elevate your chances of getting more of what you want and deserve out of that particular negotiation. The where. You know what? Location, location, location is what they say in real estate, and it arguably applies in negotiation as well. And in the same way, setting is very important in novels, And there's a good reason for that. Setting is important. Never underestimate where you end up deciding to conduct a negotiation. Now, I get that's not always possible, but where it is, do it with intention. In your personal life, for example, some negotiations can be handled in the bedroom, others should never be handled there. Maybe some discussions you want to have in terms on important family issues while you're sitting around the dining room table, or maybe these discussions are better had when you're on a family vacation or a getaway together. In the business context, is this a discussion that should take place in the boardroom in a more formal setting, or is this a discussion that's better served at the water cooler or maybe on a firm retreat? Consider your where with intention, and you will increase your chances of getting better results. Who, what, where, when? The next one is when. Again, as kids, think about it. Timing is everything. We've heard this 1,000 times, and as kids, we intuitively knew. Don't ask your parents for that thing that's really important if they're in a crappy mood, right? And yet somehow as adults, we forget this simple truth. And again, it's not always going to be possible to control that, but where you can, consider the when of your negotiations with absolute intention. It can be the difference between getting an absolutely fabulous result or having the negotiation blow up altogether. And the final W, which I actually consider you normally consider first, is that why, that deep why. What is your deep why going into a negotiation? What's really driving and motivating you? Tap into that deep why so that when you hit obstacles along the way, it will give you the inspiration and drive that you need to overcome those obstacles and keep going. It'll allow you to stay focused and on track. It'll allow you to remember what's really important for you in the negotiation. And let's take money as an example, because people often say to me, well, Cindy, a negotiation about money is just about the money. What's my why matter there? Well, it does matter, because negotiations are rarely just about the matter or the thing you're negotiating about. And money's a perfect example of that. It's rarely just about the money. It's what that money represents for you and or for the other person. You know, is this money a matter of status for you, a sign of earning respect or recognition? You know, are you needing to prove yourself to someone? Is the money needed to be able to send your child on a special trip that can really advance them, but otherwise you couldn't afford? Or maybe a much needed romantic getaway to salvage your sort of dwindling relationship. Whatever that money means for you, tap into that deep why. What is it? Doesn't mean freedom. Doesn't mean that you're free to make your own choices and not at somebody else beck and call or under someone else's control. Figure out what your deep why is for every negotiation that you're going to go into. And then try and tap into what you believe to be the other person's deep why. Both in advance of the negotiation as prep and during the negotiation, be open to really listen, both to what's being said and what's not being said, but what they're speaking of from their heart, or what that underlying drive is for the person on the other side of the table. Because you can often use that to meet their needs, even and especially their unstated needs, to get better deals overall than what could have been possible otherwise. So again, simple 5 W's, just a little teaser for you to let you see the power, the potential power of these. And I really invite you, the next time you have a negotiation, try implementing those little secret weapons as part of your preparation, and you will be surprised at the reward that you get from having taken the time to do so. So if this concept sounds interesting to you, if you recognize the value of learning the art of negotiation, then make sure to reach out to us, because all of life is a negotiation. So if this is something that you recognize is worth investing in for yourself, because it will help up-level your ability to get more of what you want and deserve, both personally and professionally, or from the boardroom to the bedroom, as I often say, then make sure to reach out to us and check out one of our programs. We have a range of resources available, from free ebooks on a number of the simple models and systems that make up our Art of Feminine Negotiation, to one-on-one intensive mastermind coaching where you get to work personally with me to push past some of those limiting beliefs and conditioning and be able to step into the most empowered version of yourself. So feel free to reach out today so we can book a discovery session and see if you're a fit for one of our programs. Take care.